Right, hello and welcome to today's Android Developers Office Hours. My name is Nick Butcher and I'm joined here in London by Matt.
And Chris Baines.
Regulars Rich Hyman and Stefan at DroidCon Berlin today. So unless the Wi-Fi conference gods are smiling on them, I don't think they're going to be joining us. So as usual, this is your chance to come and ask us, the Android Developer Relations team, any questions about developing Android apps. It's not an opportunity to ask us about unreleased features and products and stuff like that and roadmap thingies, because we're not going to be able to share that kind of information, unfortunately. So without further ado, it seems like we have a couple of people joining us live. We have Yossi over there. Hello, Yossi.
Hi, guys.
And Steve Charman, I can see, and who's that? Who's just joined as well. Oh, everyone's joining. Hi, everyone. While everyone joins, should we start off by taking a quick look at some of the questions that have been pre-submitted into the moderator? And then
let's go for it. So Hugo Visser from Netherlands has asked, is there a supported way to change the locale within your app? He's found a way on Stack Overflow. There's a couple of people who have posted answers of how to do it with a bit of a hack by changing the configuration. And honestly, I don't know the answer to it. I'd guess it's a hack and it shouldn't really be done. You've got to ask yourself why you want to do this.
I'm curious, and that was going to be my follow-up. Why would you do that? Sure, that's something the user would want to set.
Exactly. It's a system setting. They set it once. It's their language. What is the need for your app to change to their locale? So it sounds like you can do it, but it's a hack, and it may not work in the future.
So I guess the answer is no. We don't think there is a supported way of doing it.
Not supported.
Not like exactly. Cool.
Yeah. But why not suggest the user to choose the language he wants to see the menus for the application?
Yeah, the one thing you could probably do is deep link them to the setting to the screen in settings where they can change it. So rather than automatically changing it, you might be able to link them through. But I don't know about automatically changing it.
Yeah, it's a setting.
Whether you want to be able to do that.
It sounds like it's a question of if you've got a user and you haven't localized your app for them.
Cheers, Yossi. Thanks.
So, has anyone in the Hangout got a question?
Yeah, I got one or two, maybe.
Or two, or three.
Yeah. No. First one, it's not really related to Android, but I'm trying to see if there is a Google Groups API. Do you know anything about it?
Nope.
No.
Sorry, no, not my department.
I thought you could access Google Groups via NNTP as like a standard news group.
Okay, I'll check it out.
Yeah, because that's how it was born, wasn't it? It was like a web interface to news groups, and then it just kind of grew into its own product. So I'm sure they've still got some binding somewhere.
Okay, I'll do some searching. Thanks.
No worries.
Stephen's asked a question in the sidebar. Can you unmute and ask yourself, or are you without video? No mic. Okay.
I have a question also. Can you hear me?
Okay, you go for it and we'll come back to Stephen's. Yes, we can hear you.
Hello, everyone. I also added the question in the moderator area.
Okay.
It's about the action view intent and the possibility to add multiple URIs for images in order for the gallery to act as in a slideshow mode. Is this possible some way?
No.
Okay. So I need to implement something by myself in order to provide such an action. Okay, thanks.
There are a number of libraries on sort of open source libraries that you can use for this kind of thing, and they make it really easy.
Okay.
So have a Google.
Okay, thanks.
Should we go back to Stephen's?
Yeah, so in the sidebar, Stephen asks, is it good practice to open a connection to the database and then hold on to it for the lifetime of the application?
Well, the trouble you have with that is you'll never be able to. You'll never know when to close the database because there's not a sort of on destroy application. So you're going to keep holding on to the database connection, and it's never going to be closed. So you're just going to be holding resources, and your database if you try and open that data, if your app gets killed, the database won't be closed. So next time you try and open it, you'll get an exception saying database isn't closed, or something like that. So what it is, it's a nice, easy option to get around sort of handling databases. I wouldn't recommend it personally.
What would you recommend?
I don't know. The more I sort of play with database, the more content providers just seem the best way. There are a lot of boilerplate we have to write.
But there's a ton of good libraries that will help you write all that for you, like Storm and other such things. So I think content provider is probably the way to go here, and have that handle your database connection.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, you get a lot of stuff for free, and if you want to use loaders and whatnot,
and
you need to be using this architecture. Any more? Oh, okay, cool. That was my impression. Cool, good. Glad we could confirm that. Any other live questions before we jump back into the moderator? There's one guy whose avatar is hit with his hand up, and I keep on thinking he's trying to ask a question.
He's a cool guy.
But that's just me. What's the best way to access fragments by tag? Oh, by tag? Question mark. I'm guessing.
Find fragments by tag as a method.
Are you asking like the best way to keep hold of them, like to get the hold of them? Then yeah, tag is a very good way.
Yeah.
Great, makes a great video watching us read a sidebar conversation going on.
For view pages.
Oh, so if you're using fragments within a view pager, why would you need to get them by a tag there? Because couldn't you just pull them out the adapter?
No, because it's a view, isn't it? Because the view pager only deals with views. You got fragment pager adapter, which sort of handles all the fragment manager side of it. So yeah, the way you've put it in is a good way. Sort of creating a custom tag based on the position is the way I've done in the past. So much like you've done.
Oh, by appending the position.
Yeah. Or you just create custom sort of object, like sort of strings that will go to each fragment. Is this using a hidden feature? Is it not?
Sort of. Yeah, it's implementation specific, isn't it?
Yeah. Either way, that's the way I've done it in the past, and it works. So I can't really think of a better way of doing it. So just go for it. We're going to got a question, moderator. My tablet seems to.
Yeah. Okay. So let's go back into the moderator. When are you going to do this? Not going to comment on that. So let me find another one. Multiple images, so we just answered that one.
Yep.
Okay, so Kenny in Los Angeles says, show as action if room doesn't work as I would expect. Even when there's plenty of room, these actions aren't shown. And then links through to a Stack Overflow thread. Have you had a chance to have a look at that one?
Yeah, I mean, the Stack Overflow thread answered it pretty well, and you've got an answer from Jack Wharton, so it's a pretty definitive answer. Basically, the action bar, sort of the number of items you can have as action items is fixed based on the resource, so based on sort of size of screen, what sort of orientation you've got the device in, and it changes based on that. So sort of, for instance, on a 10-inch tablet and landscape, I think it's 5 items you can have.
Up to.
Yeah, up to. So if you're using if room on your items, it will sort of wrap after 5 items. But you can force your items to display using always. So there is that. It's kind of been done like that to sort of consistency. So, and also the items displayed don't change based on what else you've got in the action bar. So title, subtitle, list navigation, spinner. And so it still has room for those items. And so if you hide or show any of those, your item number isn't going to change.
And I think these are all documented on the design guidelines. If you go to the action bar page on the develop@android.com/design/pattern/action bar or something like that, then it's actually documented that how many items are already shown in each size, screen, and orientation. Alrighty. Right, should we go from the top? Any questions? So Springy in the UK asks, he wants to do bidirectional NFC transceiving, like the Google I/O example. IC and Verve Android Beam gets in the way. Is there any way to work around it?
I honestly don't know. Yeah, I can't answer that because I don't know enough about NFC, sort of the Android Beam. Yeah, Paul.
Hi, yeah.
Hey, Paul.
We've recently been looking into this. In fact, my boss was at the Barcelona Mobile World Congress.
Oh, yeah.
Beam does seem to be slightly a bit of a problem with the extra touch required. It wasn't going down too well with some people who weren't familiar with NFC. And I'm basically trying to find the same kind of way around this issue for doing a kind of a message sort of challenge response kind of two-way process. So at the moment, I'm not getting any answers out of. There doesn't seem to be any way around this at the moment. What was shown in the Google I/O a few years ago was a previous version before they had the touch to Beam, and it was slightly more easy to work around. But I think it's been tightened up since then. But yeah, I'm in the same boat. I'd love to know if there's anything else coming up or anything else that's been announced. But I haven't found anything so far.
My suspicion is no.
Yeah, I think so.
I think Beam is the way forward.
Yeah. It'd be great to, for sort of use cases that I'm facing and what this other chap's facing, is to have something, a mechanism for a sort of, where you need to send some data and get a response back. I'm not sure what the best way is for the moment. So if there's something, it'd be great to find out if there's something like that in the future.
Right. Okay, well, I guess that's one we're going to have to take away.
Yeah, we don't know.
Thanks for the feedback. That's interesting to hear. That Beam isn't always the way forward. Okay. Blah, blah, blah. Next question. Multiple image URIs. Done that one.
Yeah, done that one.
So there's the in-app billing
Okay.
one. So Jeremy from Australia is just essentially having issues with in-app billing. Essentially what's happening is his activity is being destroyed before he's actually receiving the billing result.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, Chris has already kind of answered on Stack Overflow. Kind of said, use an alert dialog, convert that to a dialog fragment, and try posting a runnable using run on UI thread. But
yeah, so from what I read about that, it's not really an issue with in-app purchase. It's just a general sort of Android issue where you're you're showing a dialogue while the activity isn't being shown. So it's just sort of it's been leaked. So it's sort of the in-app billing side of it is kind of a red herring. Well, from what I read. So yeah, I mean, dialogue fragment was added, so you don't have to do this stuff anymore. So you don't have to handle the life cycle. It's all handled for you, fragments, and it's just the nice way of doing it now. So if you're going to do, obviously there are some styling issues in that if you can use that alert dialogue, it gives you a lot of styling for free. But I think the pros of using dialogue fragment with the life cycle sort of freeness is good.
And there was a good post on the Android developers blog, right, about how to use dialog fragment. Go android-developers.blogspot.com. You can find that. Cool. And there's another one. It's just another Stack Overflow link. Have you had a look at this one? When to delete files shared with external apps by content provider. From Martin in Slovakia.
Wrong page.
Does it ring a bell?
No, I've not seen nothing.
So let's take a look. What TLDR? Maybe we'll come back to that.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of one. So Efren has, from the Canary Islands, has asked, when are we going to start taking the public sort of bug tracker seriously? He said there are nearly 30,000 issues that nobody seems to care about. Some of them affect millions of users. I mean, as I've said in the reply, sort of the tracker is checked, and it is checked very regularly.
Every bug.
It's just there may not be replies on each of them, and sort of fixes are put in. For
It's kind of the way that Android's developed, because Android is developed internally at Google and then open sourced. We actually maintain like a private bug tracker as well. So things like that we'll look at, and then we might file internal bugs and work on those internally, and then you won't see them. The effects of this, the bug report you put in until the next release when that code's pushed. So it might seem like we're not responding, but we do actually read them all. And things like adding Arabic support was because it was the #1 starred issue on bug tracker, and we do look at these for prioritization as well. So sorry if it feels like you're whistling in the wind, but we do look at it. So keep finding. So Jean-Francois in France asks, what's the best solution to do a custom SSO solution with an override of the authenticator class and service? The account is linked to an external state, which is there for credentials. I'm not quite sure what he's asking.
Nah, neither do I.
I didn't get that one either.
So I'm guessing you're asking a single sign-on solution. So I guess you're asking for if you have the device holder credential for your service, your site, and have multiple apps using it, in which case I'd say, yeah, use account manager infrastructure is definitely the way forward to do that. If that's not what your question is, can you please reply to the moderator and clarify?
Yeah. Right, James Payne.
Why Android isn't executing catch statement code? The exception is caught, but is only executing return statement. All code before a catch isn't executed. It's weird, because this is the only all-night lowercase catching statement is working fine.
It sounds very much library specific. If you mention ORM Lite, I don't know.
Yeah, I'd get in touch with the developer of ORM Lite. That does not sound like the general, state of the world. Catch statements are executed. Else we'd be in a lot of trouble.
So Aidan in London has asked, he's using the Google Maps API version 2, and the map fragment sometimes freezes when it doesn't respond to user input. Is this something we're aware of, and is there a fix? I don't know. Check b.android.com. There might be a bug report already on there.
Mm-hmm.
It might be a case you're doing something on the UI thread as well. You're not quite thinking of. That would lock it up. I guess you could easily identify that if you just had a button on the action bar or something, and if you can't click on that, then the whole UI is blocked.
Or use something like systrace and see what's going on.
Yeah, even better.
Or maybe you're using a sort of a UI widget which sort of intercepts touch events. There's something like a sliding library or something, I don't know, which is intercepting touch events at certain points, and so map fragment isn't getting them.
Yeah, well, systrace will tell you what's going on.
Yeah.
You see where it is going. So Marius in Romania asks, is it possible using Android Asset Studio tool to preserve the content padding and stretch regions when creating a 9 patch? Right now, when changing the image, the padding and stretch regions are reset to default. I think that sounds like a bug with Asset Studio. If it is doing that, I don't think that's correct behavior. So there is actually a report bug tracker section, because it's just a Google code project. So if you can file a bug on that, then we'll take a look.
Are there any questions live while we're still going through these? I'm looking at you, Giuseppe. You've always got a question.
I just wanted to ask you another thing about the sliding menu. The same feature that we have right now on Google Plus application on Android. I'm looking for a library to do the same effect, to achieve the same effect, and I found several libraries, and I want you to guide me to a specific one that you think it's more suitable. One is called sliding menu, and it also has support for action bar Sherlock.
Jay Feinstein one, yeah.
Yeah, I think I tried a load of them, and sliding menu seemed to be the one that was the most active with development. They also fixed some stuff after Richard Heidemann had kind of had a look and realized that you were actually still painting the menu even though it wasn't visible. So they ended up fixing that, which a lot of the others didn't. It seemed like the most robust one that I played with. So yeah, that's what I'd go for. But there are a handful.
Okay, thanks.
Cool. My moderator's jumped around. So Andrew, one-man moderation machine Kelly asks a long question. If I background my app using the home button, is there any reason why 2 seconds later when I relaunch the app, the complete backstack is not restored? I have a front door activity which keeps getting shown when foregrounding even for it, even though blah blah. I think you answered this one, Chris. Do you want to?
Yeah, I mean, to answer, we need more information. Well, I need more information. So I'd look for the source of how your app is actually relaunched from the recent apps drawer. And there's two things that happen. If your app is still sort of in memory and still active, it will just sort of bring it to the front. And if not, it will launch an intent based on various things that will just relaunch your app. So as I'm guessing that your app is still sort of active, so it's doing the bringing to front. So I had to think about how this might happen, and the only thing I can really think is that you've got activities and different tasks. And so you've got your activity stack, and that's in a separate task. And then when it's brought back to front, Android is relaunching your original task, and so your original activity is being sort of shown again. But I'd say this is total guess from the description you give.
Yeah, I'd say the flags sound like a bit of a could potentially mess up your history there. So check you have the new task flag set on the activity, which might be the desired behavior for certain situations.
Yeah.
It's going to do that. That's going to be the behavior.
Out of interest, what would happen if you had don't keep activities ticked in the developer options? Would that kill it if you hit the home button? So that could be another thing if you've...
Yeah, it's good by testing.
Because I had that before where it was just killing some stuff and I'd never really realised why until I actually remembered I'd switched that on. So that might be something that you've just left on.
So yeah, I'd check your manifest and also your intents and just triple check whether you're doing some funky stuff.
Cool. Ramin Chennai says, is it advisable to restart a service from on destroy, and what happens to the data storage or any storage options when the device power fails suddenly? Since shared preferences use XML file and DB uses file system to store data, will the file DB get corrupted?
So for the first question, depends on why your activity is being destroyed. If it's due to
service.
Oh, sorry, service, yeah. So if it's been sort of destroyed due to memory constraints and sort of the Android is actively sort of killing your service, what you should use is you should use Start Sticky, because that will automatically do all this for you. So
look at onStart command and then return the right value from onStart command.
Yeah.
So basically, don't fight the system, and when it's trying to kill you, trying to restart yourself, that sounds pretty extreme and like really trying to avoid fighting the system. So yeah, more look at starting sticky, and the service and the system will restart you when it has enough resources to run you.
And if it is an important service, you can use Start Foreground, which will mean your service is as important as an activity, a foreground activity.
Yeah. And you have to provide a notification.
And the second part of the question was something to do with data power loss.
Yep.
To do with, so there are various things that can happen here, and mostly sort of depends on sort of file systems, whether sort of file system has got journaling, so using the ext3 or whatever. But these are all device-specific sort of implementations. And so the only surefire thing you can do really is to try and combat this if it ever happens. So if you try and read a preference and it's not there, or it's been corrupted or whatever, or database has been corrupted, to try and think of ways to sort of work around it. So I don't know, create backups of database or your preferences as needed.
If you're really worried about it, if it's like really critical that you don't lose it, then probably you don't want to be using these high-level abstractions like shared preferences and databases. You probably want to be working at the file level and then looking at the guarantees that the different file systems will make to you. And if it's super critical information like financial information, transaction information, you just cannot lose, then yeah, you probably want to get a little bit lower level and look at the guarantees they make. If it's not as critical, then you probably can rely on these high-level abstractions. So if you're looking at shared preferences, then there's two ways you can either apply or commit them, the two different methods. One is going to be async, so there's slightly larger chance of you not knowing it's written and before it returns control to you. Whereas if you do the synchronous one, you'll know when it returns control to your program that's been written, so you can guarantee it's been persisted. So it depends on the data and how critical it is, and how the impact of losing any of it will be. But generally not a massive issue, I'd say, to worry about.
Yeah, I wouldn't say
it doesn't keep me up at night. Right, so I think we've exhausted the moderator.
There's a couple in G+.
Go for it. Yeah. Keep going with that.
If you have a premium app with a lot of customers who have already paid, but you want to transition to a freemium app using in-app purchases and subscriptions, will the Google Play Store properly return the original purchase status to the licensing API once you declare the app to be free?
Unfortunately not. This is a general problem of which we don't have a great solution of migrating paid users to a freemium model. Yeah, I've seen some innovative workarounds like asking them to install the freemium app, and then in the freemium app you use Package Manager to detect if the premium one is installed. Basically, it becomes like an unlocker. You can issue an update so it even removes the the launcher icon, but it stays installed as the kind of like the unlocker app, and then enabling the same functionality as if they'd done the in-app purchase. So that's one possible workaround. But unfortunately, as we said, the service, the LVL, won't return for a free app.
So Luke in the chat has said we missed his question.
Do you want to ask it now?
Yeah, Luke, what was your question? Can you unmute, or you no mic?
Also, Anna Mali, I do not understand what you're asking us at all. Sorry. If you can reword it, then maybe we'll be able to answer it, but you have to be quick.
But he's running out of time here.
So I think, is it Luke from Australia? I think that's the one. So he's asked, just wondering if there's any way to change the default current position arrow on map fragment.
No, what's that?
Like a car, for example. You used to be able to do this in your on-draw method in version 1, but it doesn't like you can in version 2.
I don't know the answer to that.
I don't think you can, because most of the methods are final now, if I remember rightly. They've really tightened up map fragment and all the sort of related methods. So yeah, unfortunately, it doesn't look like you can.
Any other live questions, or should we wrap up a little early? 3 minutes. Oh, Giuseppe's hand is up.
Yeah, just let's spend this few minutes, okay? What is the best approach for an application that must upload to a socket server, okay? Continuously stream. I mean, suppose that I collect the byte array from the camera, okay, and I would like to upload continuously to a .NET server, okay? What is the best approach for Android World? The socket system, another way? What did you suggest for continuously upload?
It depends on your requirements, really. It's quite a broad topic to do this. So it depends. Does it need to be real time? So does it need to be there as fast as possible, or is it kind of just like an upload?
Real time with some delay.
Real time with some delay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 5, 6 seconds, 8 seconds is acceptable delay.
So you essentially want to. So the way that I've done this in the past was you can essentially get access to the camera. So essentially, you take the camera stream, stick it on a service view, and then you can read that. And there's a way that you can convert it to an RTP stream, and then essentially stream that and read it from the server side. There's a couple of open source projects that do this for you, because there's one little thing where the header of each packet, there is no size. So yeah, basically the RTP stream, the way it's done is it needs to know the packet size, and by default that won't get added in, so you have to do some jiggling around of it. But it makes a lot of sense in terms of you're using a standard stream protocol. It's UDP, so it's going to get there as fast as it can. Yeah, that's the way I've done it. I think you've been telling me about this before, about is it the end data point or something? I don't know. Look at the open source projects and you'll see what I mean about like one of the length of the packets not being right. That's the only caveat.
Okay. Okay.
Cool. Right. So I think that brings us to the end of our time today. So thanks everyone for joining us, and as always, we do prefer if you can get the questions in ahead of time in the moderator, so it actually gives us a chance to research some of this stuff. So we're going to get you a better answer. So yeah, thanks everyone for joining us, and we'll catch you same time next week. Bye.
Bye,
Cheers,
everyone.
guys.
Bye, guys. Thank you.